Imagine a world without waste. Imagine if you could make products and packaging right every time. It's possible with the help of SpecRite, the first cloud-based platform for specification data management. You can track and report on material usage year over year, run LCAs with a click of a button, and comply with new packaging regulations like EPR and the UK plastics tax. Go to specrite.com/sustainability to learn more.
Hey, today's podcast is brought to you by Myers Printing, which happens to be where I work as a senior vice president, and coincidentally is the best sustainable printing company in the entire United States. Myers is a third-generation family business on a mission to create a sustainable future for people, products, and our planet. We're proud to help the important work of the United Nations at COP28. For more information about Myers, the awesome products we manufacture, and our commitment to sustainability, click the link below in the show notes or reach out to me on LinkedIn or just through the Substack app. Join Myers in building a greener future, one package at a time. Hey, good evening or good morning or good afternoon. I don't know if that, do you say good afternoon? Yeah, that's a word. Whatever time you're listening to this podcast, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to listen to the People of Packaging podcast. I am excited. I'm excited to be joined by Tony Perrotta. I didn't even ask you. Did I say your last name correctly?
Nailed it. Perfection.
Yes. Tony has about 25 years of experience in sustainability, growth, and innovation. He works at PA Consulting with consumer and manufacturing clients on growth strategy, sustainability, and a word that I'm excited to learn about, regenerative economic projects. He brings a dedication to solving some of the world's largest environmental and sustainability challenges to empower organizations to bring ingenuity to life. Tony also leads the dry molded fiber initiatives. And if you've been paying attention to this podcast, you'll know we are big fans of the dry molded fiber initiative. And we're going to get into it at PA Consulting, which include 2 global collectives aimed at replacing single-use plastics using fiber. These include tackling single-use plastic bottle and tablet blister packs alongside globally recognized brand names. Tony, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Adam. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
And if you're watching this, it says Anthony, parentheses, Tony. And I learned that you can only call him Anthony if he's in trouble or if he owes you money. So that was a fun little note. My son is actually named Edward Anthony after my grandfather, who is named Anthony, also big Denver Nuggets fan. And he was born around the time that Carmelo Anthony was playing for the Nuggets, which I don't like to admit played a little bit of a role, but it was a small role, a little tiny.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've heard that you are father to 5 children.
Yes.
I'm the oldest of 5 children. So we could definitely relate on different ends of that family spectrum.
That's great. I love it. Well, I read off your bio. Obviously, I did my best. I did my best to read off the bio. But what did we miss? There's a lot there, right? So, I guess my first question is, how did you get to a place in your life where you were like, this is what I am passionate about? Because you've got a really impressive work history. Everyone can go connect up with you on LinkedIn, see your work history, see the things you're passionate about. How did you get to this point? What's a little bit of your why behind what it is that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm first generation American. My parents were immigrants, like many here in the US. And sustainability, candidly, was just proper resource allocation and management. When you do have a large family, you tend to be very keen and particular on how you go about managing, utilizing, and allocating resources, whether those be monetary, food, or just material resources. So for me, sustainability was more a way of life, having grown up around it and seeing it. And I've always been drawn to innovation. My early work at university included marketing and psychology. I had deep passion around art and finance, and realized that there was an immense opportunity for us to play a real impactful role in the future, candidly, of our planet and our livelihoods. Very early on in my career, I was blessed with a mentor who approached me and said, hey, look, the one piece of advice I can give you is pick a problem that is meaningful to answer in this world, and value will flow from that. And value means just impact, empower, and mission-driven purpose. And it also means all the other amazing things that we all want from one another in this world as well. So that's sort of the very early origin story, if you will.
Yeah.
I will share the path here was pretty unique for me. I spent a lot of time helping typical consumer packaged goods and health and life science companies learn how to market their products better, help them communicate the benefits to consumers, and then realized along that path that the notion of sustainability was continuing to grow and that I could have a really unique part to play there. What's interesting is, I'll make a little bit of a provocative statement here. I'm of the opinion that sustainability at this point is an outdated statement, hence a little bit of my bio that talks about the regenerative economy.
Yeah.
I think most folks in and around the spheres that we work in would agree that what we're sort of seeing play out on the global scale is nothing sustainable at all. None of us are interested in sustaining the current way we go to market. We're seeing a lot of changes and a lot of needs related to resource allocation, climate change, etc. The notion of a regenerative economy is one where not only do you seek to do little, less, or no damage, but how might your presence in the world actually bring a regenerative or beneficial impact? Easy to say, not so easy to do. But that is my mission and purpose, to help clients, brands, organizations, governments, and individuals go beyond net zero to this notion of a regenerative economy. Oh, Adam, did I lose you? Adam, I can see you. I can't hear you.
Yeah. I don't know. Interesting. I've never had this happen before.
No problem.
Let me see what's going on with my computer.
Okay.
This is entirely frustrating to me right now. It's saying that my computer doesn't have enough space to record.
That's a sign of a very busy individual.
Well, I think the problem is that I decided to start this. I started a second podcast about nothing with packaging. And I think that those files are bogging down my computer. And so I'm going to, hang on, let me get these files out of here.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Get out of here. And hopefully this clears some stuff up. Oh, it's my Dropbox folder. I found the culprit.
All right, perfect.
I gotta offload. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about this.
No problem at all.
All right. I think this should help considerably. I hope so. All right. Okay, so I don't know. I'm trying to think of where we.
So we left off.
We were talking about sustainability and why the word doesn't. The last thing I caught was why what we're doing is not really sustainable. So what I'll do is I'm going to mark it, and then I'll just kind of add a note and say, "Hey, we're back. Sorry, we had some technical difficulties, but I'm back here with Tony. Tony, we were talking about sustainability," and then we'll just get back into it.
Perfect.
Okay. Hey, we're back, everybody. Sorry about that. I had a first time, over 200 episodes. I've never had this happen. So, Tony, this is your lucky day. But we're back here, jumping back into this interview. Tony, I lost you, and I don't know what happened, but I lost you, and you were talking about sustainability. My computer was not able to sustain the connection, apparently. And so, I think there's probably a little bit of a segue into how this word has actually become not sufficient, in terms of what it is that we're trying to accomplish from a large scale, and that you prefer the word regenerative. And then I lost you. So you're probably saying the most incredible things of your whole life, and it's just gone forever. But want to pick back up with that thought? That'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. There's nothing wrong with reinventing a new definition. So I think where we left off, we were saying the notion and even the terminology of sustainability may not be enough to really represent what our true needs are. And that this notion of the regenerative economy suggests that as amazing as it is to do less or no damage, how might companies, brands, organizations, and individuals actually go to a place where their presence and involvement in the economy brings a net regenerative impact and actually provides that beneficial impact that we need to see in this world? We were talking about a little bit of the road I've taken to get to my work in the world of the regenerative economy. I'll give your audience a quick background on PA, but before I do that, before I joined this amazing consulting firm, I ran sales for a company called Plastic Bank, really disruptive business model. In essence, we invited poor communities around the world to exchange plastic garbage for necessities like food, Wi-Fi, medical attention, and school tuition. As amazingly inspiring and mission-driven and impactful as that work is, I realized that we weren't actually addressing the net origin of that problem, and that's the creation of plastic, especially single-use plastics in and of itself. Hence, by providence, a close friend of mine introduced me to the folks at PA Consulting and said, hey, these folks are doing amazing work in the world of material science. They're trying to tackle very complex, hairy problems. It might be worth your consideration to take a look at that work and see if you can help amplify and bring some unique skill sets there. And so I did. And very quick background on PA Consulting. We're a consulting company with an 80-year legacy of bringing ingenuity to life. Yes, we do the critical strategy work to grow businesses, but we also get dirt under our fingernails. We help clients go from pixels to particles, if you will, sort of from the mind to materials.
Got it.
What does that look like? Our first client, we like to say, was Winston Churchill at the turn of the Second World War, helping with personnel and resource allocation. We've done amazing things like build the world's first pregnancy test. We've designed the Nike Fuel Band and helped harness the power of seaweed for packaging with the team at Not PLA. We're the only consulting firm with design, engineering, and science housed in studios around the world, truly tackling complex systems-based problems. That's our superpower, if you will. My remit, again, at the firm is sustainability and really bringing that power of the regenerative economy to bear. What that looks like in my day-to-day is I lead our proposition around dry molded fiber. It is a technology owned by a company called Polpack, separate entity. Our goal in our partnership with them is to help commercialize their technology for the amazing needs of consumer packaged goods and health and life science brands.
Modern consumers want modern buying experiences, and they don't just want them, they expect them. Beyond killer on-site buying experiences, consumers expect seamless experiences from checkout to delivery. And when things go wrong, and they do a lot, we know this in the packaging industry, they expect the brand to make it right and make it right quickly. In fact, 89% of consumers say they stop buying from a brand after just one bad buying experience. That's where Label comes in. Label Protect is a brand-first, buyer-focused protection solution that's uniquely designed to make shipping issues a thing of the past. Instead of leaving your buying experience to chance, you can give your customers peace of mind at checkout, knowing their orders are 100% covered from loss, theft, damage, and more. And with a 98% claim approval rate, 24-hour resolution time, and best-in-class revenue share, Label reduces customer support overhead, protects your bottom line, increases profits, and most importantly, Label keeps your customers coming back for more. Whether you ship 100 orders a month or 100,000, it's time to make the final mile part of your competitive advantage with Label. You can learn more by clicking the link in the show notes or going to lablpx.com. That's lablpx.com.
I love it. Yeah, and we've had Polpack on a couple of different times. It's really fast. I love innovation around either what if we want to call it sustainability, or if we want to call it, the regenerative economy. And it actually goes back to a little bit of your origin story when you said at the very beginning that sustainability was kind of utilitarian. Like you learned it as in a large family that you had to be sustainable. And I think in a weird way, we need to rediscover that sustainability can also be utilitarian. It doesn't just always have to be some sort of, well, we're going to pay a whole bunch more money to do this thing that we can market, because that has been a little bit played out. And I think we're now down to the brass tacks of like, yeah, but we have to actually do stuff that works now.
Couldn't agree more.
And we're going into lots of folks would say an economic headwind globally over the next 4 to 5 years, and so you combine that with the climate headwind that we've been going up against for a while, and it's like we don't have a whole lot of time to waste trying stuff that doesn't really have much of an impact other than a marketing impact. And so that's I really love that part of your origin story. And cool about not only, I'm guessing Plastic Bank is still
still very much in operation, still very close to David Katz and his team there, doing amazing work in some very challenging areas of the world, Indonesia, Haiti, Brazil, etc. Complete agreement with your commentary. I think we're at a point now where we acknowledge sustainability or the regenerative economy need not be a landscape of trade-offs, right?
Right.
This does not need to be solely in the realm of marketing as a ploy or a tagline. Uh, in the world of pragmatism, there's a notion that suggests the lack of a climate action plan at any business is the lack of a business continuity plan. You're equally as likely of getting put out of business by the climate as you are by your competitors. And I think that's a new notion that a number of organizations in the capital markets are beginning to embrace. And it gives me great hope in seeing amazing innovative technologies in packaging and product creation and supply chain really begin to take off in earnest, to your point, as a utilitarian tool, not an esoteric philosophical tool.
Yeah. And also great use of the word esoteric. It might be the first on the People of Packaging podcast. So it's a great word. So as you're kind of describing the difference, I feel like there's a real tangible difference in your brain between sustainability and regenerative economy.
Yep.
That those words are not they're not they're not the same. There's some fancy word. I'm trying to keep up with your vocabulary and I'm struggling.
They're not equitable.
Yeah, they're not equitable. So what in your brain, what is the difference between these two and why do you think we need to maybe make a pivot?
Yep, sure, absolutely. So in its most basic form, sustainability denotes this notion that we can go ahead and our hope is to sustain the existing status quo. I think for anyone who understands that definition, none of us are interested in doing that, right? None of us are interested in sustaining the existing status quo in a number of places, whether it be the notion of waste, plastic pollution in our oceans, ingestion of materials into our bodies, climate change, etc. The obverse of that, if you will, is this notion of, yes, let me minimize and hopefully eliminate the negative implications of our activity. But is there a place where my activity can bring a beneficial impact? I'll offer one example. Again, very easy notions to say, much, much harder to do. Hence why PA Consulting has a value in this world. Microsoft, we're unaffiliated with them, came out with, candidly, a very aggressive water policy. Their water footprint policy states, how might Microsoft return more clean, accessible, potable water into the world than we actually use? So the net balance, if you will, the mass balance there means the very existence of Microsoft brings a beneficial impact to the world's water systems. If you can take that notion across multiple industries, you can see how the stacking of those beneficial impacts can truly create change that goes beyond sustainability. These are large, complex systems-based challenges. We mentioned that earlier. They often take collaboration in very radical and disruptive ways. We really are living in a time where you have to look beyond the not invented here mentality. At PA Consulting, in partnership with Polpack, we're beginning to do that. You referenced the two collectives that we're offering.
Yeah.
Those are prime examples of collaboration at a new radical level.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into those. I'll hang out for one quick second, and then I want to get into to these two collectives. So, I think that I love the story of Microsoft that you shared, and this idea of like stacking benefits. Is the world better because of the existence of your company? I don't necessarily think a question that a lot of companies have really grappled with. And what is better other than the obvious, right? Job creation and, wellness and all that sort of stuff. In my brain, though, I still think that there is a bit of a use for the term sustainable if it is, of course, if it is implied correctly. So in the packaging industry, I use it to say, is packaging able to sustain the product, right? I mean, at its basic level, this is the role of packaging, is to be able to take a product from a manufacturing line and then sustain it until the end of the product's life, right? That's at its basic core. That's what packaging is supposed to do. And along with that, um, there's been a bit of I don't want to say it's kind of a moral creepiness around like human population that I think I personally despise, which is I actually think that we are able to sustain humanity on this planet, that we don't have to necessarily go explore to Mars. Although, kudos to the people who want to try to tackle that problem. That's so far beyond my scope of thinking. But the idea that we can continue to sustain human civilization growth here, I think is a worthwhile endeavor. And we can't keep doing that, to your point. We can't keep sustaining the same practices if we hope to have a planet where we do have 10 billion people or 11 billion people living on the planet. Because the opposite of that is that we need to start curbing population growth, which I'm not alluding that you have said this at all, by the way. I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
in my own yeah, it's like hot take, Tony Perrotta. We need, but I'll see people in my sustainability and kind of these circles who are like, well, the problem is humans, and it's like, yeah, sure, we all get it, but what's your solution to that is not pretty. Like, if your solution to human population decrease is some sort of authoritarian or some sort of just awful thing, like, that can't be part of it. So for me, sustaining human life is a worthwhile endeavor, and from a packaging perspective, sustaining the product is a worthwhile endeavor. So to me, there's still a use case for that term, but I agree that it is completely played out, and in many cases probably misses the point of what we're trying to accomplish.
And it may just be deserving of an expanded definition that
Yeah.
now is future fit for our needs. And to move on from there, I would expand on one other point. Aside from the sustenance of human life, I think those of us in the world of design, engineering, and science, especially packaging design, now look at life, capital L. Yes, it's about human life and that sustenance, but life generally, the planet's life, animal life, ocean health,
Yep.
where we've now begun to take and go beyond, human-centered design into life-centered design.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important movement.
I just had a guest on. The episode hasn't aired yet, but speaking of regenerative, they run a regenerative farm, and she was telling me about the life that is inside of soil is so complex and beautiful, and we've really done a pretty terrible job in destroying that life that provides a lot of benefit. It was a really fascinating conversation. I'm excited for that episode to come out. So
Perfect.
you have some friends in the regenerative world. I'm sure you've already discovered. And some of these friends that we talked about has been Polpack, right? And
Yes.
what it is that they're doing. And so let's get into you've got the Bottle Collective and the Blister Collective. Tell us a little bit about these two collectives.
Absolutely. Quick bit of background so that this can be a valuable conversation. So dry molded fiber, for any who don't know, as the name implies, is a dry process that under heat and pressure makes use of typically plant-based fiber to create packaging and in some cases product that can be used as a replacement for single-use plastics. The benefits of a dry molded fiber are very clear. One, since it is a dry process, that means obviously the use of less water. But the use of less water in and of itself a benefit also means less energy is used because then you're not drying out water that was never placed in the process in the first place. Those two benefits drive two very key levers. A, higher sustainability profile, right? Lower water use, lower energy use, amazing things. Second, equally important, if not more important, is that also drives the cost and the cycle time down. So this process becomes an economical, truly scalable way to begin to replace single-use plastics at the global scale, at the volumes, speeds, and candidly economics we all expect.
And if anyone has not witnessed the opposite, which is I was in a wet molded fiber facility once over in southern China, And that process is not great. I mean, it's just, it was hard to watch, honestly. It's pretty slow. There's a lot of wastewater created in it. It was, and I'm not saying it's altogether horrible. There's a use for wet molded fiber, I think, for sure. But it's not like this is the best possible thing that we can do, particularly relative to, say, like injection molded plastic. It's not like wet molded fiber is altogether for sure a surefire way forward. And that's what actually got me really excited when I first heard about PullPack. I think it was 9 or 12 months ago, and I was like, wait a second, that stuff I saw is excuse me, is done without all that water, and it's done at a speed that can mean it can keep up with injection molding. Like, now we're on to something.
That's the basic tenet that we've taken to the market. And for yourself as a packaging specialist, or even as a packaging designer, there are things you can do in dry molded fiber you can't do in some other alternatives. The final finish is unbelievably similar and high value to a consumer. Oftentimes, we've got consumers holding some of these PullPack products or components, and they cannot distinguish them from a typical plastic. There's amazing decor capabilities, embossing, debossing, and mold labeling. We can definitely get into the specifics. One step higher level than that, we began talking about radical collaboration. You mentioned our work in the world of bottle and blister. I can share a little bit about why we picked those two areas.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about the benefits that we hope to achieve. So we realized, in partnership with PullPack, in engaging with amazing consumer product companies around the world, that there are a handful of challenges too large for any single entity to tackle on their own, right? I think we all want to sit here and say, if only the largest beverage companies in the world would tackle the plastic challenge head on, surely they can be able to solve this problem. I think the reality, fortunate or unfortunate, that we're realizing is these problems are systems based and complex, and likely can't be tackled by a single brand. So our intention there is to identify, and we have two such challenges. How might we bring a collective of organizations together in service of a single mission? So again, we've identified how might we replace single-use plastic bottles using a collective approach. How might we replace what are typically PVC-based tablet blister cards as well. I will say we're not the first to come up with this notion of a collective. You're going to be joining COP28 soon. The entire theme of COP28 is collaboration. I think what makes our collective different in partnership with PullPack is you've got PA sitting at the center with this 80-year legacy of deep scientific rigor and discipline in complex project management, driving this collective mission forward. In addition to that, you've got the amazing ingenuity of a PullPack driving the baseline technology. And then we have, on the outer layer, if you will, surrounded by amazing brands who are bringing their own research and development capabilities, and oftentimes seeing beyond the competitive lines that have typically been drawn. I can share a handful of examples. On the Bottle Collective, the three companies who have joined to date that are making themselves publicly known include Haleon, Sanofi, and Diageo. Haleon and Sanofi, typically competitors in the competitive set. And here they are collaborating in our collaboratory, if you will, to find a way and search for an alternative to single-use plastic bottles. In doing so in real terms, workshopping together, looking at the science, at new materials, at the process flow, sharing insights. We all know these companies have looked into packaging alternatives for years now. They've just been doing it in their own silos.
Right. And Haleon being the spinoff from GlaxoSmithKline, correct?
Correct. Yes. Okay. Yep. Legacy, GSK.
Yep.
I think Panadol, etc.
Advil, I think, is in there.
Tylenol.
Is it Tylenol?
Yep, I believe. Okay. And then beyond that, similar dynamics in the Blister Collective. So Haleon have joined us there, as has Bayer. Bayer has joined to say, hey, look, the current materials we're using, PVC, amazing properties. At the same time, difficult to recycle, end of life challenges fairly high, hard to collect. What might alternatives be here, especially in a product formulation that really brings unique benefits to a consumer? Compliance of medication in a blister pack is extraordinarily high because you can see which tablet you've taken, how many you've taken, have you missed a dose, etc. So again, the hope here and the mission here is not to make this a landscape of trade-offs, but to really bring all the benefits to bear possible in a way that's economical, feasible, and still delights the consumer.
Was that intentional? Bring the benefits to bear, both in.
I'm going to say yes. Absolutely.
Perfect.
By design.
It was perfectly by design. Yeah. So I guess my question, when I think about the properties of fiber and then the properties of plastic, and this is assuredly a question that keeps coming up, is does dry molded fiber provide the necessary currently, or is it working towards it, the necessary properties, as you said, to give the consumer confidence that their bottle of Tylenol or Advil or their blister packs of whatever Mucinex or whatever the product is, um, that it's safe, it's clean, it's been protected, and I can put this in my body. Is that a challenge that you're working to overcome? And if so, what's that been like?
Absolutely. So a key challenge that we have been overcoming in partnership with Polpak, and again, those amazing brands around the world that we've partnered with, is can we get the same or different level of shelf life, of barrier, of lining technology to be able to do that? That is an extraordinarily important component. We can, in some cases, get there almost immediately. And in other cases, in some product formulations that require very aggressive lining or barrier technology, it'll take a little bit of effort and there'll be a transitional bridge.
Yeah.
A live example that I can provide is on our bottle today. Our initial prototype does in fact make use of lining technology. The liner can be a PET liner, it can be a Ciox liner. The expectation, though, is we've built a process that can handle the amazing innovation that will be before us in the world of lining technology. So when we invent non-polymer-based liners that are alginate or mushroom or some other amazing nutrient-based lining technology, we'll be able to very quickly incorporate that tech into our already built process.
Got it.
And we've got a chassis that can accommodate all those items.
Makes a ton of sense. Well, where would people go to learn about both the bottle and the blister collective? Is there sites they can go learn about it on the World Wide Web of the internet? Can they go to askjeeves.com and search for it? What's the best way to find out about these collectives?
Sure. The interweb is definitely your friend. I would point you to a few very easy resources. The first is our firm's own website, paconsulting.com. Very quickly, you can go and see all our work in the world of sustainability and the regenerative economy. You can also go to Polpak's website, PULPAC. They've got a lot of information and valuable content there as well. We've been very aggressive and dynamic on LinkedIn as a platform. So you will see those press releases by Haleon, by Sanofi, by Diageo, by Bayer, all offering their unique POV and why they've decided to join us on this very mission-driven journey.
I love it. I'll make sure that put some links down in the show notes. Who are some people that you think we've kind of covered the how they would reach out, but who are some people that you're like, it's a no-brainer if you're in, these industries? I would assume if you're in similar industries to Diageo or Sanofi or Bayer or Haleon, that it would be worthwhile to look into the collective. But are there other industries that you think, boy, I just don't understand why people from this industry haven't reached out more?
Amazing question. Thank you for that beautiful invite. Our hope, and by design, if you will, of the collectives is that we can tackle the needs of multiple industries. So yes, our work with Diageo will focus around liquids. Our work with Haleon and Sanofi will focus around tablets and capsules and solids. We expect to work with fabric care and laundry around powders and other chemical compositions. In the world of the blister, of course, we want to work with over-the-counter consumer health. We see massive value for pharmaceuticals. The world of confectionery, a lot of confectionery now comes in a packaging format like that. We welcome all those individuals at multiple stakeholders in the organization. It's amazing to engage with a brand manager. Equally, it's unbelievably enlightening to sit with designers and R&D specialists. Of course, we will engage with what most companies will refer to as their chief sustainability officer or their chief climate officer. We really welcome like-minded companies and brands that are looking to join a journey that's not in its infancy, that has made amazing progress, but still is not as deeply entrenched as 60-year legacy of injection plastic molding.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Everyone, please reach out to Tony, learn more about what they're doing. The worst thing he can say is, yeah, this isn't really a good fit for what we're trying to accomplish right now, but it's always great to interview people who are not only out there innovating, but have a long history of innovation. And, I think that greatly increases the probability of success. So I'm excited, Tony, to be part of PA Consulting's journey here, just done a little bit with the packaging podcast, but it's been great. Really appreciate you coming on. And everyone, make sure to go follow PA Consulting on their website, on LinkedIn, connect up with PulPack, do all the things, because it's a big, small world of packaging, and you're going to want to know about what it is that they're doing. Appreciate you coming on, Tony. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
Hey, congrats. You made it to the end of the podcast. If you're looking for more great podcast material in the packaging industry, please check out Sustainable Packaging with Corey Connors and the newly redesigned Package Unboxed with Avelio Matos. Go find them wherever you listened to this podcast. Thanks, everybody.